Alrighty, what's up everyone? Good morning, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Thursday, October the 9th. You can see the overall markets moving towards your all-time highs here. Semis continuing to show strength. We have some Nvidia news here in the after hours. We also had in AMD, really nice inside bar yesterday. We talked about that one. That one actually ended up having a super solid push towards the upside, kind of leading the markets back towards the highs as well. We'll take a look at some of these tech names here. AMD was up 11% yesterday, which was super solid. We'll take a look at some other charts in a second, and of course the major indices. Before we do that, what's up everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's head right into the charts. Actually, before we do that, let me pull up the Forex Factory today. We do have some red folder news, which is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or if you guys are on the Pacific time, right, it's going to be at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Okay. So what we have coming into today, we do have Jerome Powell speaking. That is going to be, as I mentioned, 5:30 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then tomorrow we also do have some more red folder news, which is going to be at 10 a.m. or 7 a.m. Eastern Pacific Standard Time, which is going to be your consumer sentiment. That is, as I mentioned, the prelim. So the prelim consumer sentiment, which is going to be the red folder news event. Okay. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let me go on to the major indices, and then we'll head on to some of the tech names here. What's up? What's up? What region is your time? Currently on Pacific Standard Time. What's up, Andres? Anyone saw some pictures? Yeah, we'll send some pictures in the chat. If you guys didn't know, we had our first meetup yesterday, which is actually really cool. We had about, I think it was a small group. We had like 15 to 20 people, which is super, super awesome. We'll send some pictures. It's actually a really good time. But let's head on to the major indices. Let's first talk about ES and NQ, and then we'll head over to some other charts here now as well. So first things first, what we had yesterday, we kind of talked about this key level. We were just still kind of inside of this range for the ES. We're at the low of the range, and then once we got above this key level, which was your 67.80, basically the middle of the range, we ended up having this nice push towards our all-time highs. And now you can see gravitated towards our all-time highs are 6,800. Now we're above this level. We just like to kind of see it maintain above your 6,800 for this continued push back towards the upside. So this is the level that I have coming to market open. We're just going to mark out our old pivot high here from Tuesday, and this is really the key level I'd like to see hold for continuation towards the upside. What I don't want to see happen is now, right, the break back underneath. So there's two scenarios. If the market wants to continue higher, it's going to hold this level. If the market gets back underneath, we could see a mean reversion back towards the downside here. So keep an eye out on your 6,800, very key level, basically your Tuesday's highs. We have multiple touches, Monday's highs, last week's highs here as well. So 6,800 or 6,796 is going to be a very key level here for the ES coming into market open. If you take a look at the QQQ here, key levels that we have, very similar thing. Sorry, if you take a look at the SPY here, very similar thing. What we have marked out is our 672.50. So our 672.50, we have a touch here, touch on Monday, we have another touch here on Tuesday. Now we're actually above this level, which is our 672.50. What I would like to see is really the overall markets maintain above this level for this potential continued push back towards the upside. If we do ultimately get back underneath your 672.50, then we could see a potential mean reversion back towards the downside. So keep in mind your 672.50, very key level where we have multiple touches coming into market open. Let me just change this to a neutral color. So 672.50 is the one to keep an eye out on coming into today. We will wait for Jerome Powell to speak, that he is speaking before market open. So we'll see how that impacts the overall indices and the market in itself. As for the NQ, very similar thesis here. Really solid push yesterday. So the key levels that we have marked out yesterday was our 25,000. We also had our 25,175, and then we also had marked out your all-time highs, which was your 25,250. Right off the bat, you can see kind of nice push towards the upside. Once we got above this key pivot level, we reclaimed that level. Nice retest right off our 25 170s, and we had this nice continued push back towards the upside. So for the NQ and the overall indices now, right, higher lows were still being built, as I mentioned. You can see higher lows being built here. Now we are above your all-time highs. So this is going to be the key level coming into today. 25 250 our Tuesdays, also our Mondays highs here as well. Let's go back onto the lower time frame. So on the 15-minute, this is going to be our key pivot level today. We'd like to see maintain. If we can maintain above your 25 260, I would like to see this dip in towards this level for this continued push back up and towards. Now it's going to be your pre-market highs and above. The only scenario where I'd like to see some downside is if you get underneath. If you get underneath your key pivot highs, then we could see a potential mean reversion in the overall markets. But as long as you maintain above your 25 260, I'm going to be looking for pullback longs today for continuation back towards the upside. If you go onto the QQQ chart, the key levels that we have on the Qs, fairly similar thing here. We have your Tuesdays, also your Mondays highs marked out. You can see we have multiple touches. Really, once we got above key levels yesterday, which was our 606, we end up having a really nice push up and towards our all-time high. So key level today, you can see multiple touches. We're now breaking above your all-time highs. What I would like to see is really maintain above. Now it's going to be this 609. So the 609 is a very key level here. Multiple touches, as I mentioned. This is going to be your key level for a potential pullback long. If we can maintain above your 609, we could be looking for this continued push back towards the upside. Ultimately, if we break underneath your 609, then I mentioned that's going to be the key level potentially we can see for some downside and a mean reversion here on the QQQ. So 609, very key level here. I'm actually just going to readjust this. We can mark this out. So we can have marked out Tuesday's highs, Monday's highs, and then we can just mark out this general area here as well. So 609, basically this 610 key level here for the QQQ coming into today. All right. That's it for the SPY and Qs. Let's go into the SMH just because the semis have been very bullish. We talked about AMD, inside bar day, Nvidia. A lot of these semiconductors have been showing a lot of strength, and these have been basically leading the market back towards the upside. As for the SMH, nice kind of push back higher here. As you can see, most dips have been bought up. If you go into the hourly chart and if you zoom out here on the higher time frames, you can see SMH is very bullish, right? If you look into the daily chart, every single dip has gone bought up so far. Once we broke outside of this consolidation that we had in September, you can see nice retest, and now every single dip so far bought up here on the daily time frame, on the higher time frames here as well. So SMH very bullish here on the daily time frame. If you go into the lower time frame, dips have been bought up. Key levels of support have held, and we've been just continuing higher. So for SMH, kind of major key level support, we had our 336, 334, nice kind of bounce here, all the way back up and towards our all-time highs. As for today, the key levels that we have marked out is our 348. So our 348 here is going to be key on the higher time frames, where we have multiple touches off this general area. If we do want to see some upside here now on the overall indices, we have a few scenarios. Number one, break above our 348, which is our all-time highs for continuation towards the upside. Scenario number one. Scenario number two, consolidation above your previous day highs for a push up in towards our 348 here. And then of course, the third scenario would be the bounce off our 345 for this continued push back towards the upside. So a couple of scenarios, most scenarios we're going to be looking for the pullback long for this continuation higher, or now it's going to be the break above our all-time highs for a retest of that for continuation towards the upside here as well. Okay. Now let's head on to some of the tech names that we have coming into today. Let me go over Tesla and some of the semis here. Nvidia also had news. Let me actually just grab some water here. Yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Let me grab some water here really quickly. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop me a like. If you guys also haven't joined the daily watch list that I post every day, you guys can also join that in the description as well. Okay. I'm going to go over some of the charts I'm looking for coming into today. Jerome Powell is speaking, as I mentioned, in about, he's actually speaking in about a few minutes here. Yeah, 2 minutes until Jerome Powell starts speaking. So we'll mark out some charts and then we'll just develop our pre-market game plan. It could change coming to market open just because he is speaking. So we'll just kind of mark out the key levels and then see the reaction that we have off those key levels coming to market open. So let me get on to some tech names here. If you guys do have any other tickers, you guys can also drop them in the chat here as well. But first things first, what we have here is Tesla. So Tesla, key levels, it's just respect your key levels, right? Ever since we had that little dip here last week, we were expecting Tesla the momentum to start slowing down here on the higher time frames. The key levels that we have marked out now is our 416 higher time frame key level. We also have our 488, which is the level we want to see hold, and then we basically have our equilibrium, which is our 432. So coming into market open here, you can see price is currently trying to maintain above our 430. This is the level Tesla came down to yesterday. Had a pretty big wick underneath, but overall held above our 430. You can see today here as well, buyers are still trying to step in off this 430. I'm less bullish on Tesla, at least intraday and on the weekly, basically this week's price action, but higher time frames I'm still fairly bullish. What I would like to see on Tesla is really, the only scenario is really just going to be maintaining above your 430 for this push back towards the upside, or now it's going to be, we're going to have to kind of mark out your previous day highs. It'll be your previous day highs break for a continuation back towards the upside here as well. So primarily for Tesla, I'll be a little bit more patient on this one, but you could be looking for your previous day low bounce for a push back up in towards your 440. Or if Tesla showed a lot of strength, you'd be looking for the break above your previous day highs, 440, for this continued push back towards the upside here as well. So this is what we have for Tesla coming into today. Let's focus in on the semiconductors here. Semis are the main names that have been leading back towards the upside. Number one, Nvidia. So Nvidia, this is one that I really like here on the higher time frames. I was looking for a continuation higher yesterday, just based off this retest that we have, still maintaining above our previous all-time highs. Basically a higher time frame breakout, as you can see. Our higher time frame break and retest, right? We had this consolidation period. We finally broke outside of the range. This was last week or 2 weeks ago, and now you can see this level is essentially being used as a retest, 185, for this continued push back towards the upside. So this is key here for Nvidia. Now if we go on to the hourly chart or the 15-minute time frame, you can see buyers stepped in. What we were looking for was really this mean reversion back up in towards your all-time highs. So for Nvidia, we're looking for that kind of push once we got back above your Monday's highs for this continued push back up in towards your all-time highs, 190.50. But ultimately kind of just consolidated yesterday after having a nice push up. And then now you can see in the after hours, we actually had some news. So we had some news. It was US has approved billions in Nvidia chip exports to the UAE, including a deal for 500,000 AI chips annually starting in 2025. So we had some news here on Nvidia in the after hours and in the pre-market as well, now kind of pushing towards the upside. So the key levels that we have, you can see extending here in the pre-market as well. So for Nvidia, coming into today, the key levels that we have marked out is just going to be our previous all-time highs, which is our 190.50. So our 190.50 key level here on the higher time frames are above it. You can see kind of reaction here in the pre-market, and now a nice continued push towards the upside here. So for Nvidia, now what we'll be waiting for primarily is your retest of your 190.50, which is our higher time frame key pivot point. Or now we're gonna have to mark out intraday levels here. And we're also going to have to mark out pre-market levels. In this case, what I'm going to have drawn out is your 192. So for Nvidia coming into today, what I have is your 192. We can be looking for the pullback long in towards your 192 for this continuation higher. Or if price wanted to have a bigger pullback, right, we could be looking for kind of this higher low off your 190.50 for this continued pushback towards the upside here as well. So for Nvidia, right, very bullish here in the pre-market. We're at all-time highs here as well. Sure, as well, we just had news. What we'll be doing is waiting for a pullback long on Nvidia for this continued push back towards the upside. So this is what we have for Nvidia coming into market open. As for AMD, this one really solid. We talked about this yesterday. Nvidia, AMD were some of our main watches for a potential move higher. AMD, we had this nice inside bar day. So yesterday, the key levels that we have marked out was our previous day highs and lows, and we also had this outer bar here as well. So for AMD, we talked about this. If you can break above your previous day highs, right, the next major key level is going to be our all-time highs, 226. So once we broke outside this consolidation, we actually ended up having an immediate retest here on the lower time frames. And then once we got above your previous day highs, this one, next major key level was our all-time highs, 226, and really explosive move towards the upside, right? Just based off of the news that we had from its previous day. Sorry, the news that we had a couple of days ago, and then this is your all-time highs break. So now for AMD coming into today, the key levels that we're gonna have marked out, number one is going to be your previous day highs. So you have your previous day highs marked out here on AMD, and then we're gonna have your previous all-time highs, 227. So coming to market open here on AMD, of course, 227 is fairly far away. So basically the levels that we're gonna be using is just gonna be your previous day highs along with our, really this 234 coming into today. So key levels and the scenarios that we can be looking for, number one, break above your previous day highs for this continued push back up and towards your pre-market highs and above. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two, potential pullback down and towards your pre-market lows along with this down close candle here, and they could be looking for the bounce or reclaim back towards the upside. These are really the only two scenarios I have for AMD coming to market open. Break above your previous day highs, hold 238.23. Another possible scenario is going to be that pull back down and towards that pre-market low along with this down close candle here, 234 for a bounce play back towards the upside. So either scenario here on AMD, keep an eye out on this one. It is up about 11%, so I'd be a little bit more cautious, but overall, higher time frame still fairly bullish. We had news a couple days ago. We're at all-time highs. Semis have been showing strength, so just keep an eye out on Nvidia and AMD just for continuation higher. So key levels that we have marked out, 234 along with our previous day highs on this name. All right, let's go on to a few other tickers that we have here as well. Apple really not doing too much. So most of the names that are moving are primarily just semis and Tesla. So I'll just continue to focus on those ones until names like Apple and those other ones start showing strength. But in this case for Apple, still kind of just inside this consolidation area. We are still building up these higher lows, but just been consolidating quite a bit. For Apple now, it's still going to be that break above your 259, right? Once we break above that 259, I think we can have a bigger move towards the upside. But until then, I'll be very cautious and just be more patient on Apple until we can break above your all-time highs and hold above that level. So that's what I have for Apple coming into market open. As for a few other tickers here, Google, we actually had a pop here in the pre-market. We had some news here right in towards that 248. And now you can kind of see it's rejecting off that level. So for Google coming into today, the key levels that I do have marked out, I'm going to mark out your previous day lows along with this higher time frame key level here as well. But for Google, if we want to see upside, it's going to be above our 248 now for this continuation higher. Currently, we're just kind of rejecting off of this level and we're inside of its previous day's range. If we're in between this range here, I'll be a little bit more cautious on Google. But longs above your 248.36, and then for shorts, I'm really would only be interested kind of underneath your 245 here on Google, and even then, I'm not as interested in shorts here just because the higher time frame is very much still intact here on Google. So for something like Google, Apple, not too much to talk about. Amazon, I actually do like this one. Finally starting to curl here as well. Higher lows on the daily time frame are being built as well. So for Amazon, the daily chart is shaping up here now. We're breaking above key levels. What you like to see for Amazon is the maintain above our 223. So if you're looking at this here on the higher time frames, you can see we have multiple touches here On Amazon, what we like to see now is this be used as support for this continued push higher. So at least on the hourly chart, we've consolidated, we finally have broke structure. We like to see now maintain above your 223 for this reversal here on the hourly chart. Another possible scenario that you could be looking for is going to be now the break above your previous day highs. If you can break above your previous day highs, this is going to look good for this continued push back towards the upside here as well. So keep an eye out on Amazon, at least on the higher time frames. Intraday price action isn't the greatest, but if you can break above, this potentially will look good for a move back on the higher time frames or a potential swing here on the swing back towards the upside. As for Meta, key levels, you can see bouncing off key levels of support here as well, right off of our 690 earlier into the week. Now for Meta, the key levels that we have drawn out is just this general area, which is essentially the area that we broke down from 720. If you can break back above your 720, we can see this nice continued push back up towards your 728. If we ultimately reject off this area, then I'll be a little bit more cautious. And the next key level support is going to be this 708. All right. So this is what we have for Meta coming into today. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers, I'll go over them for probably the next kind of 5 to 10 minutes as well, and then I'll get ready for market open here. But for Netflix, this one curling here as well, daily chart kind of coming back inside of this range here. As for Microsoft, this one's shaping up nicely. I actually like Microsoft here. So higher time frames, the key levels that I do have marked out, you can see this consolidation area. We finally broke outside of this consolidation. Now what I like to see is a retest in this case, it is your 520. So if you can retest your 520 here on the higher time frames, I like Microsoft for this continued push here back towards the upside. So at least on the tech side, the main thing I'm keeping an eye on is going to be the semiconductors, primarily Nvidia, off of your pre-market levels 192 or potentially your pre-market lows 190.50. And then, of course, I'm keeping an eye out on AMD as well. Key levels that I do have marked out is your basically your previous day highs in this pivot level from pre-market, and then I guess this is in your previous day highs, but your key level from yesterday, which is your 238.60. So keep an eye out on the semis, and of course Tesla, keep an eye out on this 430 key pivot level here as well. Okay, yeah, what's up? Good morning. Good morning, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Let me take a look at some of these names here now. Currently, Jerome Powell is speaking. We'll see how that affects the market coming to market open. I'll have to take a look at that before pre-market. But the levels that we have marked out currently are still intact, and our thesis is still basically intact coming to market open. So for Qs, let me actually just mark out this level really quickly as well. We can have your previous day highs marked out, which is your 111.50, and then for SPY, we have your pre-market kind of key level that we have drawn out. Let me actually just draw this. We have your pre-market level drawn out, and then we can also have your previous day highs drawn out here as well, which is our 673. So the primary indice you're going to focus on, of course, is Qs, a lot more bullish. This one's leading back towards the upside. SPY key levels aren't as valid, but the main thing you're going to keep an eye out on here is number one is going to be the QQQs first. All right, let me go on to some of these tech names that I have coming into today. So number one, let me actually go all the way down here. Hood, this one moving nicely as well, pushing back towards your all-time high. So once we're able to reclaim back above your 145, this one pushing back nicely here. Key levels that we have drawn out now is just going to be your key psychological level, which is your 150. So higher time frame key pivot point. We have multiple touches here as well, reclaiming back above your 150, right? Higher lows you like to see maintain above this level for this pushback towards the upside. So for Hood, you like to see maintain above your 150 for this continued push back towards the upside here. So that's what we have for Hood coming into today. As for a few other tickers, Oracle, this one, nice kind of bounce off of our 284. This one inside bar day still, but nice kind of bounce right off this key level. Now we're gravitating back up and towards this 292. If you go into the hourly chart, if we draw this general area 292, we like to see now the break above your 292, hold above this level for this continued push back towards the upside. So that's what we have for Oracle. If we reject off this level, then we're just going to come right back down in towards that 284. But for Oracle, in my opinion, this one looks good here on the higher time frames. It's just going to have to get above your 292. If you go on to the 4-hour time frame, I think I may have just crashed trading view, but I have a lot of levels drawn out here. Let me just remove some of these, but key level, you can see fairly clearly 294. We have multiple touches here. If we can get back above your 294, then we can see this nice mean reversion back towards the upside, and we can break structure here on Oracle. So that's what I have on this ticker coming into market open. And then for MU, let's take a look at some of these other semiconductors here, since semiconductors have been fairly hot. Other levels that we can have marked out on MU coming into today, we can just mark out this level, which is your Tuesday's highs. This general area here where we have multiple touches. We also have your previous day highs as well. So for MU, key levels that we have marked out 192. We also have your 195 here. So a few scenarios, break above your previous day highs for this continued push back towards the upside, or a potential pullback all the way back down in towards that 192. This one, in my opinion, would still be bullish, right? Higher lows right off your 192 for this continuation higher. As for Palantir, key levels that we have marked out on Palantir is our 181. You can see inside bar day yesterday, which was expected. We're just kind of still inside of this range that we created here from Friday. So for Palantir, big drop here on Friday. This week's price action just kind of been inside of this range that we have from Friday's range. So for Palantir, if you do want to see some upside here, we do have this inside bar day. So we mark out your inside bar, we mark outside, we mark out your outer bar here as well. So fairly similar setup, something similar to AMD. What we like to see now, break above your 184. Previous day highs for this continued push towards the upside. This is going to be the #1 scenario. Of course, if we break lower, then you could be looking for a continuation towards the downside. But overall, for Palantir, we like to see break above your previous day highs, hold above your 184 for this nice continued push back up and towards your 186 and above. And then for a few other tickers here, quickly go over these ones. AVGO, consolidation here, but so far trying to break back above now. It's going to be your 340s. So you can see this general area, we have consolidation marked out. If you can break back above your 340s, we can see this nice continued push back towards the upside. So for AVGO, levels that I have marked out, basically this 345. So 345, you have multiple touches here. What we'll be looking for, break above your previous day highs, 345 pivot level for this continued push back towards your highs here. Next level 350 and your 356. So we'll keep an eye out on AVGO. As for some other tickers, Intel has been consolidating for a while. Key levels that we can have marked out, just your previous day highs, along with your key pivot level here as well. As for Intel, you want to see now the break outside of this consolidation. Break above your 38 is going to allow this to have that next push towards the upside. So keep an eye out on Intel. TSM, nice kind of continue push back towards the upside here. So a lot of these names are moving higher, especially the semiconductors. So just keep an eye out on your previous day highs. Those are going to be the key levels that we have marked out. Someone was mentioning SoFi. SoFi looks good here as well. We talked about this one yesterday. Key level that we have drawn out is going to be this 2860. So this is kind of a flat top potentially forming here in the overall markets, right? Higher lows are being built. What I like to see here for SoFi is this continued push back up and towards your 2860, or now it's going to be above your 2860 previous day highs, higher time frame key level as well for this continued push back towards the upside. Okay, let me go over a couple more tickers here. I see some people typing in IWM, and then I'm going to get ready for market open here. So for IWM, this one, maintaining above key levels. So the key levels that we have drawn out here on IWM, if I remove some of these higher time frame pivot points, basically what we have is this news candle high from FOMC, and you can see price maintaining above your 245. As long as you can maintain above your 245, I like to see this continue push back towards the upside here. Overall, kind of just consolidating. I'd be a little bit more cautious, but above your 245, we can see this push back up and towards now. It's going to be this 248 overall. IWM, right, higher lows are still intact, so we can expect this continuation back towards the upside. So this is what we have drawn out here for IWM coming into today. Now let's go on to, I'll just go over one more ticker here, and then I will develop my game plan. I'll get ready for market open. SMCI. So SMCI, another semiconductor that's pushing up nicely here. You can see higher lows have been built. Now we're above key levels here as well. So SMCI in the past, kind of weak, has shown really strong price action, holding above key levels. So this one's shaping up fairly nicely here on the higher time frame. So key levels that we have drawn out is your previous day highs, which is going to be, your Tuesday's highs, which is going to be your 57.50. A hold above your 57.50, we can see this nice continue push back up and towards your previous day highs and above. So that's what we have coming into today. As for my game plan, let me just go over my game plan once more, and then I am going to get ready for market open. It's close to 8:50 here. But basically the game plan is keeping an eye out on your previous day highs here, right? That's going to be key for the Qs along with our 609.50. So two scenarios: above your previous day highs continuation, or this potential pullback long down in towards your 609.50. So the Qs is going to be the main watch, at least the main indices to focus on. SPY, you can keep an eye on SPY here as well, but of course I like NQ just because this one is leading the market. But key levels I have: previous day highs 673.20. I personally like to see it kind of maintain above this level. It could come all the way back down and towards that pre-market lows and higher time frame pivot point, which is that 672.50. But overall, these are the levels that we like to see hold for the major indices coming into today. As for my main watches, it's going to be the semiconductors, Nvidia for a pullback long, along with AMD. Right, these are the main semiconductors to look for continuation. Previous day highs along with our 243, and then of course for Tesla, you can keep an eye out on your 430. Higher time frame still intact. Momentum of course is slowing down just a little bit, but based off the higher time frames, I like to see these higher lows be built right off of your 430 if we do want to see a continued push back towards the upside here. As for the rest of the names, I really don't see too much. It's just going to be the semiconductors today. And then, of course, we have some other semiconductors as well that are shaping up. Oracle looks good back above your 292. MU, right, Palantir, right, AVGO actually looks really good as well above your 345. Intel, if you can break above now, it's going to be this 38. And then TSM and a few other tickers, right? Keep an eye out on your previous day highs. I actually do like Palantir, so we'll keep an eye on Palantir here as well. It's now going to be a break above your previous day highs, right? 184 for this continued push towards upside. So that's what I have coming into market open today. I'm going to take a look at here what Jerome Powell said, and then of course I'll talk to you guys. I'll give a short recap in the pre-market recap. So that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. And with that being said, if you guys actually haven't joined the watch list, that of course is in the description below. And then I will see you guys all tomorrow morning. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.